What's up, guys? I hope this video today finds you healthy and safe first and foremost, and that you are with your loved ones or have the ability to be with your loved ones. So this is going to be video 2 of this series that I'm doing during this time that we're on restriction, to give you guys as many tools and pieces of advice as possible to really set a direction for yourself, be able to have goals. And this, like I said, this all starts with goals. So if you guys have not seen video 1, which is an introduction and my discussion on goals, I want you to go back and watch that first. This video is going to pertain on nutrition, how to best handle your nutrition during that time. And like I just said, it's very, very important that we have set objectives, set goals, and then that's what we're going to base our nutrition off of within the circumstances and within the environment that we have for ourselves right now. So one other thing I want to talk about really quick just on goals before I go into nutrition that I started to touch on yesterday, and then I realized after the video I got a little sidetracked, and that is basically understanding what your goal and objectives are and the time component that your goals and objectives are going to take, okay? So yes, I said let's go ahead and set some concrete goals that we can attain during this time where this pandemic is spreading, where we're trying to flatten the curve on the pandemic. Let's set some objectives for this time alone. But hopefully these objectives that you guys have set for this time alone are a part of bigger objectives that are going to take a longer extended period of time. You know, I touched on yesterday when I got into bodybuilding, it wasn't about what could I achieve in 3 months, what could I achieve in 6 months, but it was more like what could I achieve by the age of 25, what could I achieve by the age of 30, and that's where my mindset was. So whether it is you want to be the best athlete that you can be, the best bodybuilder that you can be, achieve a specific set amount of fitness goals, have realistic expectations of what that's going to look like, okay? And if you guys honestly don't know, reach out to myself, reach out to people that you trust, reach out to people that have attained the level of goals that you're seeking to achieve and ask them, all right? Now, understand within that as well, there's going to be genetic outliers, there's going to be genetic variables, but even within the genetic variables, if we look at a genetic elite like Dexter Jansen and how far he's come in his career, what he's accomplished in his career, look at the amount of time that he's poured into his craft, all right? So even within those genetic variables, these guys are putting in a tremendous amount of time, a tremendous amount of sacrifice. And I think it's really important because, again, Instagram and the Instagram era has really skewed things for us. We have people taking a set of pictures or going to photo shoots and then leaking those photo shoots all year long. So they're portraying this image that they're upholding all year long when in reality, all those images were taken in one snapshot of time with different backdrops, with different scenery, with different clothing, and then they're portraying those images as if they're holding this image all year long. So I don't want you guys to get lost or sidetracked or think that you're not achieving your goals in the rate that you should be, because real goals, things that are going to take, that are hard to accomplish, are going to take time, and you need to understand that. All right, so let's jump into this nutrition today. This nutrition topic within this time, there's so many different variables that we need to consider. So I really wanted to, I wrote out some notes because I didn't want to lose sight of anything. I didn't want to skip over a certain, select number of people and their environment. So I basically wrote out some notes. I'm going to read over these notes for you guys, and then I'm going to work my way through them. So the first thing I wrote here is nutrition considerations, understanding energy output versus input, all right? So basically, what type of person are you? How is this pandemic, how have the regulations, how have the restrictions, guidelines, suggestions, how have they changed your lifestyle or the environment that you're in right now, all right? I laid out 4 groups of people. I laid out people with no gym access, okay? So if you have no gym access right now, basically, to some extent, within other variables that I'm going to discuss later on, you're either going to have a large reduction in energy output to a moderate reduction in energy output, all right? So this means that the calories that you're able to burn before this happened on a daily basis within your daily structure. Group number 2, they have some access, whether that's a home gym that they're able to do some things on, or whether they are able to attend a gym, but it's less frequent. So those people are going to have a slight reduction to a moderate reduction in energy output. And then the last group of people, which this video really doesn't pertain to, but I wanted to just address them for the sake of putting together a full video, is the people that still have full gym access. So with them within their daily life patterns because of the coronavirus, they might either just have a very slight reduction in energy output on a daily basis to no reduction at all, okay? And then the fourth group of people, and this is again why I want to continue to refer back to goals, is those of you like myself who set specific goals to accomplish or start to work towards during this time period. So whether you are 1, 2, or 3, you still can fall into category 4, which means that you're somebody that set up specific goals for this time period. Like myself, if you find yourself like myself, where I felt like that my body fat levels were a little high, and I wanted to just kind of really improve my conditioning during this time. I hold the most amount of my body fat within my whole body in my midsection. So the first thing that I lose in my off season is my abs. I set a goal to really kind of sharpen that look within my midsection, get that back in place. And that's just gonna allow me to gain muscle and have a rebound effect when this is over and I finish my cut. So I set that as a specific objective for myself. So again, whether you guys are in 1, 2, or 3, whether you're being impacted to level 1, 2, or 3, you still can set specific goals for yourself. So that's gonna require a different amount of nutritional focus right now, all right? So when it comes to this question, the first thing that I really want to point out to you guys is you guys have to understand individual metabolism. You have to understand your body type. You have to be realistic with yourself. Basically, it comes down to this. Are you holding a lot of fat or are you not? Or are you somewhere in the middle? Okay, so be honest with yourself with that. And then, I've done Q&As now the last 5 days. I continue to get the question over and over, what should I do with my nutrition? What should I do with my nutrition? So that's why I felt it was very important to lay out what type of person that you are. And then the nutrition considerations within that need to differ based off of 2 things. What type of person that you are in terms of this coronavirus, and then also what type of person you are in terms of your individual specificity. I have guys that I work with that I've specifically told them, look, I do not want you to make any nutritional changes. I want you, even though you're not training, I want you to be training, I want you to be eating on your training day diet at least 5 days a week, which is what their typical week looks like with 2 off days. I want you to stick to that because I know that some of my guys, basically metabolisms, and metabolism is separate from basically what their needs are dependent on their metabolism, okay? And I think sometimes we forget that within sometimes coaches' strategies. It's like this all or nothing method. Like so many people right now are doing, they have a lot of carbohydrates on their training day, and then to improve insulin sensitivity, they completely cut carbs or basically only have carbs in their last meal on their off days. And I think that really kind of just negates or neglects the whole point of individual metabolism and how much of a role that can play for you as an athlete or as a bodybuilder looking to put on size, maintain size, which obviously that's the goal for this time. All right, so first and foremost, understand individual metabolism. I've said this in previous videos. I want to say it again. I feel like I'm repetitive and repeating myself a lot right now, but I want to make sure that within that repetitiveness, I'm not leaving out key points. And basically my focus for saying this is that individual metabolism matters. And I think for a greater majority of us right now, it's not like with day 1 of coronavirus restrictions that we like all of a sudden our metabolism shut down, okay? So if you have a good amount of muscle, your energy requirements to feed that muscle, to maintain that muscle are still high, even if your energy output on a daily basis has been reduced. And I can't say that enough to you guys, okay? So don't think just within 1 to 2 to 5 days of being within restrictions that you need to drastically change your diet. So the first thing I'm gonna say within this is really pay attention to what's going on with your body. Look at yourself in the mirror, be critical of yourself, step on the scale. This is something else that I've said too. So within this, I really think that I would say for 95 to 97% of us during this time that are within, under restriction, we shouldn't be gaining weight during this time. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be maintaining weight. Okay. So again, if you were on the leaner side and you know that it's hard for you to put on muscle, or you have to really eat as much as you can to put on muscle, and during that period you still stay lean, I really would recommend you guys to not change your diet. All right. So know where you're at, all right? And now when it comes to other types of athletes like, myself or people that maybe, you know, they've had a good off season, but they're starting to get on the softer side, then let's look at some considerations to make a change. But I also don't think that we need to go from one extreme to the next. That's very important. So basically, I would make the least amount of change to your diet that you can to maintain a positive response from your diet. And what does that positive response look like? So that means not gaining weight. That means not getting drastically softer. I'm also going to talk about what you guys should do with your cycle, with your compounds. That's going to be in a later video. So obviously that plays a role too. So you guys need to look at all these variables. If you're getting a little bit softer with a little bit of down regulation and energy output on a daily basis, and you've also changed and reduced your hormones on a daily basis, that's to be expected, okay? But again, let the scale be your guide, let the mirror be your guide, let progress pictures be your guide, and then make adjustments accordingly. And I mean it when I say it, guys. Don't just do, you know, a clean slate of all or nothing, or, you know, I'm just gonna pull all my carbs. Get the least amount of change that you can. Make the least amount of change that you can that still induces a positive result. For many of you guys, I would, you know, basically encourage a reduction of 20%, anywhere from 15 to 25% of your total calories. And when I say total calories, I really mean those calories coming from either fats or carbohydrates. Most cases, I would say, because our energy output has decreased, I would take the majority of that reduction from carbohydrates. So I've talked about this before. I want to talk about it again. Your protein needs should remain the same. Just a simple way, for the sake of discussion within this video, to calculate protein needs, I would base your protein needs off of your lean body mass. And if you guys don't know exactly how to calculate your lean body mass, an easier way for me to say it is, for those of you that are competitors or those of you that are wanting to compete, really kind of bring your weight down to what you feel like your stage weight would be, and then base your protein needs off of that. So for your protein needs, I would base that your stage weight, multiply that times 1.5 to 2, depending on how much muscle you have. If you're on the lower end of the muscle scale, multiply it times 1.5. If you're on the heavier end of that muscle scale, multiply it times 2. And even within that, this is not set in stone, okay? I've seen some people that respond better to higher amounts of protein. I've seen some people that respond better to moderate amounts of protein. So if you know your response, then gauge it according to that as well, whether it's the 1.5 to the 2, all right? So now that you have your protein needs set, I'm hoping that those of you guys that are asking me these questions about what should I do with my diet, you know what your current diet is, all right? That is crucial. If you don't know what your current diet is, then we're really shooting in the dark here. So if you know what your current diet is, keep your protein intact where it is, and then pull the reductions across the entire day. I'm not saying 20% per meal. I'm saying 20%, 15 to 25% across the entire day from carbohydrates. You know, some people prefer their carbs in the evening. Some people prefer their carbs in the morning. Whatever that is for you, keep it. Just do a slight reduction and then see how you change off of that slight reduction. And I want to say it again, guys. I really mean this when I say it. I would say a greater majority of us right off the bat, especially the first week to 10 days, you really shouldn't have to touch your diet at all. You know, these recommendations and suggestions that I'm giving are if this pandemic or the restrictions that we're on a state, local, country, national level, whatever they are, if they go on for, you know, a month, 2 months, that's when I would really dig into this video and make some changes accordingly. All right. So I want to go over my notes a little bit more. I talked about maintaining a set point for protein. I talked about reducing needs from fats and carbs. I would say initially anywhere from 15% to 25% of your entire caloric intake for the day. All right, start there. Again, start small, make the least amount of change that you can, and then go from there. And then other things that, and I should have said this before, but other things that you guys really need to take into account, like myself, like hopefully many of you. So let's go back to these people really quick, all right? The first person is no access, which means they're gonna have a large reduction to a moderate reduction in energy output. Some people have some access to the gym, which means they're gonna have a slight reduction to a moderate reduction. Some people have full access, which means they're gonna just have a slight reduction to no reduction at all, okay? But since the gym has been taken from us, and this kind of goes into the next video I'm going to do on training, What things are you guys doing at home to compensate or justify for your lack of training time? I know that I've been purposeful to increase my energy output through the day of just being more active with my kids, making sure that we go outside on sunny days, making sure that we're running around a field or playing ball or kicking a soccer ball. Those were all things that I haven't been doing prior to the start of this, all right? So if you guys are also doing those things, another thing that I've done is I've made sure that I'm doing 30 to 35 minutes of cardio a day, which I also wasn't doing. So for myself, yes, for sure, I've had a reduction in energy output from the gym on a daily basis, okay? But outside of my gym time on a daily basis before this started, I wasn't having many other direct points of energy output throughout the day. But now I've had a decrease in energy output from the gym, but I've had an increase in energy output through cardiovascular work on a daily basis, and then also just being more active and making a point to be more active throughout the day. So that's also something that you have to consider and quantify when it comes to making adjustments for your diet. So that's really why I'm saying to a greater majority of you guys, don't make any drastic changes, or really don't make any necessary changes off the bat unless your body dictates that that's what's needed, okay? Now I want to touch on this last person, which is a specific goal during this time. Obviously, within somebody that's saying, Matt, during this time, even though my gym access has been decreased or stopped, I want to tighten up, I want to lose some body fat. Then yes, for those people, let's make some changes right off the bat because we have a specific goal in place. But again, whenever I adjust somebody's diet, I don't pull drastically unless that's your goal. So I have basically two approaches to dieting. My approach number one is a contest prep diet where I make a little bit of change and I hope to get the most response out of that. And then I continue that process over 20 weeks, 16 weeks, and then you get the end result. Step number two, which is somebody like myself right now. Okay, so during this time, for an assertive mini cut, for a mini cut, I believe in being more assertive. Basically, for me, I want to get in and out, or I want to get my athlete in and out as fast as possible, regain their sensitivity, get the fat off, and then get back to the fun part of this, which is training and performance goals, building lean tissue, so that's what it's about for me. So knowing what your goal is, what your objective is, the time frame of which you want to accomplish your objective, that is so crucial. And that's why I keep referring back to video number one, which is goals within this. All right. One other thing I want to make note of as well is for those of you guys that have, had these reductions, whether you're person number 1, 2, or 3 that I'm talking about, what have you done to compensate for those reductions of specific gym time? Now that you have more time, now that we're home, are you increasing your energy capacity through means, or your energy output through means of doing cardio on a daily basis? Are you being more conscious to be more active on a daily basis, whether that's cleaning around your house, whether that's getting out of the house and playing with your kids, or just being more active outside? So taking into consideration myself again, before these restrictions were put in place for us here in Georgia, and the restrictions that I'm wanting to adhere to as well as my family from a government standpoint, I wasn't doing anything really outside of just training. So yes, I've lost my ability to train 5 days a week, but within that, I've also adjusted my daily energy output, and I've done cardio now on a daily basis. I've been more active with my kids and been more active outside on a daily basis. We're making choices to go to the park or go to the playground, and just running around, throwing a ball, kicking a ball, chasing my son. So those are all things that on a daily basis I wasn't doing, and now that I am doing. So you have to really measure out the scale of, okay, I lost energy output from the gym, but I've increased energy output through all these other means. And those also need to be taken into consideration when it comes to your diet. So that's why I'm really encouraging you guys to not overreact here, and let your body dictate the changes that you're gonna make. And I would say for a greater majority of us, unless you have a specific goal to make composition changes during this time, don't make any changes off the bat, okay? If you guys are training hard and have been training hard for a long time, this initial period of rest is really gonna do you a lot of good. I would say more so, the recommendations that I'm giving here is if we're under restriction for a month, for 2 months, for 2.5 months, 10 weeks, whatever it is, the things that I'm telling you guys now, I would encourage you to put more into practice the longer this goes on. And we're forced to basically, you know, because of the fact that now we might have not trained for 6 weeks, then yes, I would say that there's a reason to pull back on your needs, you know. But for right now, especially during this time, if you guys were making great progress, we want to do whatever we can to maintain that progress. And I'm going to talk about that more so in the next video to come, which is going to be training considerations. But just to kind of quickly recap this video, guys, know your energy output. That's extremely important. Consider your energy output and what it was in the gym versus what it is now outside of the gym, and considerations that you're making within your daily lifestyle activities now. All right. Understand your individual metabolism. You know, what type of person are you? That's crucial. All right. And then from there, make changes. But I would, again, really make changes slowly. You know, initially I wouldn't make any changes. Once you feel that your body's starting to respond negatively, and just to pinpoint again, within that negative response, understand that if you're having less activity right now and you've also reduced hormones, you're going to have a little bit of shift in body composition, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a negative shift. It's more so just the reality of the environment that you're in. All right. So take all these things into consideration. Hopefully you guys will enjoy this series, and hopefully it'll help you, just provide you with a sense of direction during this time. I'll be back to talk in detail about training and the best approach to training to maintain the progress that you've made and not derail that during this time off. All right. Thank you guys.